Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to give you some insight as to what it looks like to be a program trader, an algorithmic trader. Let me introduce myself. I am Baggett at StockMarketCaddy.com. Today is Sunday, August 4th at noon, and we are gearing up for next week. Actually, we're gearing up for tonight. We like to trade the futures markets intraday starting on Sunday night. Because one, they're leveraged. Two, they have great liquidity. The difference between the bid and the ask is very small. We have great market access. It isn't from 9 to 4 or 4:30. It's virtually around the clock. They're very efficient. Now we start every week with, as you know, many of you, $25,000 in capital, but you don't need to have that much. If you are a patterned day trader in the stock market, yes, the government requires that you maintain a minimum of $25,000, and you're using a lot more capital than we are. If you trade 100 shares of a $250 stock, yes, you're going to use $25,000 in capital, $25,000. And if you make 250, well, what is that? 1%, right? But if you trade the NASDAQ futures contract intraday, how much capital do you actually use? 1,950. And if you make $250, what is the percent return on that? 10 to 15%. So it's much more efficient. Now, if you're trading futures after hours on a NASDAQ, you'll need to use 19,500. But because we're machined, the chance or the likelihood of a negative outlier for us is 0. We're just not going to have it. Futures also, although we like to trade options, we do when we trade going out overnight, 30 to 45 days. But when we trade futures, we don't have to deal with the Greeks. Time decay, implied volatility, and all of that. We do deal with that when we have to go out further in time. Now, also know, if you want to trade micro futures contracts, they're 1/10 the size, 1/10. Meaning you don't need $19.50, you need like $195. So you could, in essence, be trading with as little as $2,500 in your account as you learn. So I just want you to know that. But last week, we started the week with 25,000, and we ended the week with 29,437. And in short order, we're going to transfer out that excess money into another account. You see, we want to advance whole ground, and we're going to do it again. But I promised you at the start of this video to explain what was it we did to do this. Well, I didn't place one single trade myself. The machine placed it. I didn't scalp it once. The machine handled all of the trades. We ran a program called the SMC Bowtie, with a new feature to it. And by the way, if our annual members are hearing this, and you want this new feature in its beta form, please see the video called SMC Daily Equity Stop that we sent out last week. Please see that and let us know your interest, and let us know, at least initially, what program, if you want it built in. Or if you want this very program, we can do that too. So please let us know. The folks who are in the beta group already have let us know, and once it passes muster with them, then we will make some tweaks to it over time, but it will go into our library for the benefit of all of our members. Now that said, let me give you a glimpse of what the strategy looks like. Here is the strategy: SMC Bowtie with daily equity stops. And here they are. Here's the daily equity amount, 450. The daily loss amount, 400. The profit target switch came in at 950. The stop loss that we added a la carte, we're going to build it in this week, came in at 1100. I'm confused, Don. What is the difference between a strategy stop loss and a daily equity stop? Well, what the stop loss means is in a strategy, we have a number of ways to come into a trade, but we even have multiple ways to get out. One way to get out is to set, as an example, a stop loss of $200. An example. If you lose $200, it'll get you out of the trade. If you set a profit target at $200 and you make $200, it will get you out of the trade. That kind of discipline many times is the edge. If you're looking for the edge, and we're certainly looking for an edge, it provides discipline. But a daily equity stop does something even more interesting. You can set a daily amount to say, in this instance, $450. If I make $450, turn off. Don't trade anymore. If I lose $400, don't trade anymore. So it's a daily equity stop. And that's, once again, discipline. And it's very, very interesting. Now you might be saying, well, how did you arrive at these numbers, 450 or 400? Why wasn't it 500? Why wasn't it 600? Why is it, 450 here and 400 here? And what is this frequency business and variance? And how did you arrive at 950? And how did you arrive at 1100? Well, I don't have time to run through our testing for this week, but I can describe what it is we do. What we'll do is we will highlight these numbers and we will optimize them. And we will give them parameters to start from 250 to 1500, increment of 50, as an example. And we will optimize these inputs, this one and this one, with parameters. And then, most valuable, is then optimize the frequency, which is part of the strategy itself. It's the core piece, and it isn't using moving averages, folks. Something called frequency. You can have high frequency, mid frequency, low frequency. In the variance, it can be high, mid, low. And based on the last 2 months of trading, the computer will run through all of those iterations in the past 2 months. And it's going to tell us, as it did last week, what is the optimum value? What is the optimum? And what is the optimum input? Now, if these numbers are too big for you, I can't risk $450 a day, Don. Well, then don't change the inputs. You just change the leverage, and you could trade a micro contract. It wouldn't be $450, it would be $45, as an example. Now, let me show you what the back test showed us last week. So I close that dialog box, and I right-click, and I come to the Strategy Performance Report. And the Strategy Performance Report showed us this last week. Now, in the beginning, the strategy didn't do a whole lot, and then it started to really do well. In fact, over 2 months, it said, Don, you'll likely, not guaranteed, but it's likely, if you stay with this program, and it's running 24/7, by the way, we can even put in hours or time and even optimize the time, but it said $22,000, and the profit factor would be about 1.4. If you don't know what profit factor is, you definitely need to give us a call, but that tells us if we're making money. How much we're making versus how much we're losing. As long as we're over 1, we're making money. That is the back test. But it's true, what goes on in the back test may or may not happen in the future. Let me show you something. Here are the periodical returns. For last week, we had 14 trades. 64% were profitable. The profit factor was 2, better than the model. And the net profit was $3,000. That's what it did, virtually to the penny. But Don, wait a minute. You got 4,400. You got an extra $1,400 in there. How come it doesn't match? The reason why it doesn't match is on Fed Day, we ran one program at about 2 o'clock for about an hour, and that program made about 1,400. So that's why it doesn't match. I am Bagadon at Stock Market Caddy. If you are trading and getting it done with whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. But if you're not, and you want to learn to trade mechanically and robotically, understand how to use daily stops, how to understand program stops, how to choose the right programs. Because you see, as an annual member, you get all of the tools that I have. But more valuable than any individual tool is the education to go with it. And also, by the way, let me just say this. Our videos on YouTube are meant to inspire, not annoy. I had a gentleman last week called. I spoke to him for an hour of my time. I asked him if he wanted to be on the mailing list. He texted me his email. 2 days later, maybe it was the YouTube video about CNBC on Friday suggesting that you don't look at your 401k. That wasn't me. That was CNBC. But he sent me a nasty gram saying, take me off your mailing list. No problem. I'm not trying to annoy anyone. I'm not. If you want to learn how we approach the markets, we're here to help you. If you don't, and you want to do your own thing, you want to do something else, all the power to you. Time. We can't buy it, we can't sell it, but we can waste it. I don't want to see you wasting your time, and I certainly don't want to waste mine. If you have an interest, start out, join the monthly membership. You'll learn a lot in the first month. You want to become an annual member? Feel free to give us a call. We can chat. Enjoy. Have a great trading week this week. We are now going to re-optimize these values. We're going to make some adjustments to the program, and we're going to do what? We're going to cull out our profits, and we're going to do it again. Have a great week, everyone.